Good morning, gang. Good morning. Welcome to this week's altcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing discussed today is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, and this is for educational purposes only. And now we've got that out of the way. We've got a few to run through today because we've had a few requests. Obviously, if you guys want a altcoin covering, then either let us know down in the comments below or respond to our Twitter message that we throw out once a week, often on a Monday, asking what altcoins you want covering. So now that's out of the way, let's jump in. First and foremost, we're going to look at XRP, which is a slight update from last week, but people also want an update, so we'll jump in. Let's bring the TA back, and yeah, we ended up having a couple of nice trades out of this based on last week's video. So last week's video, if you remember, we had two areas that we were looking at to the upside. First area was this area here, and the second area was the top of the range. Okay, in the end, this area here, which was a golden pocket, and we had the point of control from this range, did give a nice low time frame trade. If you were actively involved in that, then congrats, because you had a nice trade here into the high, stop above the high, trade it back down. Again, you just still trade in this range here, this consolidation here, so you could have easily got yourself 4R out of that, or maybe more, depending on how tight your invalidation was. And then in the end, we had another push up. And as you can see here, highlighted on the chart, came straight back up into that range high, give us a perfect short entry. Again, it helped because the rest of the market started tanking, but it's one of those things, you're coming up into range high. Now, is this a good place to long up into range high? No, it's not. And which is why we have to laugh at idiots like the Moon Boys and the influencers of the space, like our Rover here, who announced that he bought $100,000 worth of XRP right into the range high. Now, the daft thing about this lad is he doesn't trade for a living. He makes his income from referral links like the rest of the influencers in the space, which is why if anyone followed him along with that, then you just got absolutely destroyed. Okay? And the funny thing is, he did this as well on Link not so long back. Range bound Link. Link's been range bound just like every other coin for a long time, and Link came up into local resistance, and then he announced that he bought 100,000 worth of Link at the time, and then lo and behold, as you can imagine, we had a significant pullback. Now, one thing is you got to take into consideration, take this with a pinch of salt, because chances are he didn't buy 100,000 worth of XRP. He's just saying that for engagement purposes, because the kid doesn't have 100,000 to his name. So anyway, let's not go there. So let's hide that. Let's remove that. So what am I looking at next? Well, depending on how far this thing pulls back, okay, we can already see that we had a pullback to roughly around 48/49. Now, what happens here? Okay, well, if it does roll over and continue to come down, then first and foremost, does it get back into value? Okay, if it gets back into value, then we'll be trading that down to grab at least this liquidity, likely down into this region here, into the EQ, and then look to see if you get a bounce. If you get that change of market structure, then you potentially got a long there. If you don't get that change of market structure there, then you can just quite easily ride this down straight away into the point of control. Okay, bear in mind this is a thin area. We can see this on the volume profile. It's a thin area. Okay, we do have a small spike around the EQ, which is to be expected. But if it doesn't get any reaction at the EQ, then we're looking back down to the point of control. Okay, so this zone here, okay, which is roughly around between, call it 38 cents to, call it 40 cents for easy numbers. Okay, so you got a bit of a zone here. Okay, lose that, then we're coming back down towards value area low. Okay, what happens if it goes to the upside? Well, if it goes to the upside, it turns around from here, then first and foremost, we can look for a swing failure pattern of these highs once again, because we know that we've got liquidity here, and we didn't actually take the liquidity on this sweep here. But we can look for a liquidity sweep back under. You got another short trade there. If it does get higher, let's just remove this again. If it does get higher, then we know we've got stops above these highs here. So if we do come up, we can look for either a swing failure pattern of these highs, or we're starting to look higher prices altogether. And then we start looking at this old consolidation here. Okay. If you get acceptance back into that, then we're just trading that old range. If you don't get acceptance into that, then we just continue to trade this range. Okay. But when price is at the outer extremities of a high time frame range, I'd consider this as a macro range, then you've got the best opportunities. Okay. Lower time frame, yeah, you've got loads of mini ranges on this, and that's the beauty of these old dinosaur coins. You get loads of ranges to trade. Okay. But the higher time frame range, that's where I'm interested. That's where you potentially got swings that can turn into something else. Okay, oh sorry, day trades are can turn into something else. Okay, so that's XRP. That's how I'm looking at it at the moment. Right, let's just get rid of some of these squiggles. Next, let's go into RNDR. This is another one on the request. Now, this is something we're actively trading in the group because I do have a harmonic pattern in play on this one, which I'm not going to give out because that's for the members' eyes only. So I am currently sat in shorts on this. So quite simply, this is all TA from the last time we covered it on the video. Let's zoom out to the daily. You can see here, so what we're looking at. And right now, we're coming to backtest the old range high. So obviously we've had a range high here, which has been resistance here, and it was support before. So it's a big level, is this? It's a very big level in my opinion. Okay, so if we lose this level, then we're back to trading this old range. And if we're trading this old range, again, this on a high time frame, looking on a daily here, then I'd be looking to at least target these lows. Okay, grab that liquidity. If it comes down here, targets those lows and changes structure to the upside, then great, you potentially got a long trigger there, and then you'd be looking back up towards range highs or whatever new structure this has created on the way down. Okay, if that doesn't give us any reaction, then next line would be EQ. Okay, now if we throw on a volume profile within to this, we'll get a clearer picture. Most of the volume will be in the lower half. So once again, that EQ is quite a significant level because you start losing that EQ and then get acceptance back into value, then we'll be looking back down, likely to point of control. Okay. Now, what if this range high holds and we start heading upwards? Well, if we start heading upwards and this holds, then what we can look for next is into this zone, which has already been played a few times because obviously we've come up into it. Now, we do have the point of control of this cluster just above us here. So this would be at 358, call it. So between 358 and 365, that would be a zone there that I'd be interested in. The reason why I'd be like that zone is because it would grab the liquidity. And I think I mentioned this on the last video, last time we covered it. Got a liquidity pocket just above these highs here. So if we did get something along those lines, another spike up into this zone, okay, what is my squiggle tool? We do get another spike up, take these highs into this zone, then we get that change of market structure, then you've got short trigger. Okay, and if you are long, for example, if you did long this, something I wouldn't long because it's technically a breakout trade in my eyes, then that'd be a clear take profit region. If, assuming it can clear this without a pullback. Okay, bear in mind there are stops above here, including my own stops. So if it does come up here, triggers those stops and comes back down, you got to pay attention to that. Okay, but this would be the larger target zone in my eyes. Okay, so that's if we get acceptance back into the range, and that's if we hold this range now and push up. That's the plan. Okay, right, before we get into the next one, which will be Solana, I've got a quick announcement to make. So big thanks to BingX for sponsoring today's stream again. Once again, if you don't know who BingX are our partner, or one of our partners, shall we say. And the beauty of these guys is it's a non-KYC exchange. And I know a lot of people out there can't use a KYC exchange because you live in a country that doesn't allow crypto trading. So yeah, if you want to trade crypto, and you can also trade commodities, stocks, indices, FX, all within this platform and using crypto as collateral. So if you guys want to trade on a platform that offers all of the above, then check out BingX. Now, also, big announcement, BingX has given you guys a new offer today where if you sign up using our link, which is down in the description with BingX, and complete a few steps, then you can get access to our Copilot's course, our crypto educational course, for 50% off. So it wouldn't cost you 60 Great British Pounds, it'd cost you 30 Great British Pounds. Okay, so this offer is only on until this weekend, so it's on until Sunday. Okay, so if you want access to over 100 hours of educational content, including exactly how I trade, all the strategies, all the modules, so much content on here now, it's unreal. You know, Elliott Wave, altcoin trading strategies, psychology, managing trades, how to read footprint charts. We use exo charts in the Discord in the program. Harmonics, other patterns, volume, fibs, you know, and then just your absolute basics as well, you know, your simple support and resistance levels, range trading strategies. So if you want access to all that for the grand old price of £30, then come into our Discord and read the requirements that BingX has set out. And as I say, if you want to take up on that, then check it out. All right, guys. Straight back into it. Solana. So this is another one. Now, we haven't touched Solana for a long time. In fact, we can see some very old TA on this chart. Let's just throw it on log so we can see this a little bit better. There we go. So we can see here, in fact, the last time we'll have touched it would have been down here. And again, we had another spike up into this old range low, this old line here, which is the range low. So if we just draw this on as a range, you'll see that obviously this is the old range low in question. Struggling to get back into that old range. Every time we come up to it, I mean, we've tapped it a fair few times as well. You know, we've got multiple taps within this zone, pushed away, another tap, pushed away, another tap, and we're pushed away. Okay, so we're hovering, we're still in, realistically, a very tradable range, trapped between this value area high and this range low. So you've got a very tradable range within this. Now, eventually, this range will give way. Now, which way will it give way? Well, let's figure out a plan for both sides, shall we? So let's pull this on a little bit more. We can see here now that the value area is pushed up even higher. We can see here we've got a big volume spike down here as well. So if pushes to the upside again, and if we get acceptance back into this range, now bear in mind there's going to be a lot of stops above this level now. Let's just draw on here. We've got a lot of stops above this level because this level has been held down multiple times. So every time it's come into this, people are using these highs for their stop loss. Okay, so something to keep in mind that if price does push up and we get above this into the old range, take the stops and then come back down, then you've got a short trigger there. And that would be, in my opinion, quite bearish. Probably looking at coming back down into this consolidation here where we've got that high volume node even. Okay, so that'd be the first thing I'd be looking for with this. If it doesn't give a reaction, it just continues up, then we can be looking each one of these as a liquidity grab. Okay, so if we do get back into here and we continue up, this would be a target region. This would be a target region. Get above that, then we can start looking at a lot higher prices towards the EQ. Okay, it's again fairly thin above this. Okay, so that's to the upside. Now to the downside, what happens if we do fall down? Then first and foremost, we've got this high volume node here that we've got to be aware of, which is roughly around 1390, give or take. Okay, start to lose that, then we can start to look at these lows overall. If we do take these lows, then likelihood is we'll come back into this old range here. Okay, do we get a reaction here, change market structure to the upside for a long, or do we just let it roll over and come back in to here? Okay, and then we're just back to trading this old range. Okay, so far it's not really showing any signs of good strength here. Yes, some people will argue that this is accumulation, but for me it's a very tight range for an accumulation range. Could be, but it's a bit tight. So let's see. So we've got a plan for the upside, we've got a plan for the downside. Okay, so that's all. Next, let's jump into FET, and we've got some old TA on here, and look at that, the old TA played out in the end. I don't understand why we've got so little subscribers on YouTube. Okay, so this is what we had. We drew a range from the low to the high. Small range here. This was the line in sand. If we start to get above this level here, then we'll be looking again for another swipe at those range highs. In the end, that didn't happen. We ended up getting the bearish route, where the bearish route came through, broke through the EQ, didn't actually get a back test, not a clean back test anyway, and then we've started dropping lower. Okay, so now we can remove some of this tier, and we can start to see what's happening next. Okay, so let's get this volume profile, let's pull it along even further, see if it updates much. There we go, we can see here now. So, where we are now, so we've got a high volume node just above us, which is where we've rejected from at the top. We can see that here, looking across the chart. Now, below us, another high volume node, but again, not as big, but effectively that's what's causing this small range that we're in right now. Okay, so we do have a small low time frame tradable range. Now I'm looking at this on the daily charts. Obviously, if you zoom in, this is actually not a bad range to trade. I mean, from the lows to the highs, it's 26% range, so you know it's a damn good range to trade. Okay, so if we lose this range to the downside, now again, I wouldn't be shorting down here because you are into the local range lows, but if it does lose this, then I'll be looking to come back down and effectively take out all this inefficient move up. Okay, and you'd be likely coming back in to your point of control. Okay, if it comes back into the point of control, then you get that low time frame structure change. You'll be looking at longs. And again, you just be trading this back up into this consolidation here as a TP1. Okay, loses that, then you're looking at overall range low / value area low. Okay, so you do have a nice range here to trade. Okay, what if it pumps higher? What if it goes higher? Well, if it pumps higher, first and foremost, we need to be aware of these local range highs. If we get above them, then we can be looking at this EQ here, 0.5. Okay, fail to flip that, then that's effectively that retest that we had drawn on there. Okay, because we've never actually got a clean retest, not on a high time frame. So this will be option 1. Option 2, if it gets above this, starts continuing up, then we can be looking at targeting these highs. And then we've got value area high up here as well. So we've got a bit of a zone up here where I would be interested in shorting again. Okay, starts clear above that, then again, this part is thin. So you'll be looking back up towards range highs. Okay. So right now, structure locally, bearish. Zoom out to the weekly. What you'd be hoping for, monthly look any better? Yeah, monthly looks a bit better. So we look on the monthly. What you'd be hoping for, if you are bullish, is that this starts turning round and printing back up. Okay? So if you've got that, then you can see you've got a low, you've got a high, potentially got a higher low, and then you'd be looking for a higher high. Okay? If not, then we're just rolling back over with the rest of the market. Okay? So that's FET. Next one is LINA. I think that's how you say it. Now, LINA is something that I've been actively trading in the group. This was a setup I shared in the group last week before this happened. Once again, everyone getting uber bullish at this parabolic move up. Came into my area of interest. I did take an initial shot off the first reaction. Played it down. Then came back up. Stopped me out at entry. Absolutely fine because we had a take profit 1. Done. Then we saw this big liquidity grab. Came back down a low time frame, got an entry in there, and what I've done, I've traded it back down to value area high, and we had confluence at that value area high because we also had a golden pocket there. Just throw that on there. We have a golden pocket there. That's what we've come straight into, and that's currently what's stalling price. Okay, so for me here, big take profit, and if this now starts to change structure to the upside, then you potentially got a long trigger. Now, if you've got a long trigger, then we can be looking to trade that back up. Now let's throw on again. Let's throw on another fib in the reverse of this. You can see here that we've got the golden pocket coming in up here. This would be an area of interest for me. If it does start to break through this, then we can start to look at taking the highs again. If it doesn't get above this golden pocket, then we can potentially start to look to bring it back down again. Okay. Now, what if this doesn't hold? And this starts to come lower? Well, if this does start to come lower and it officially gets acceptance back into value, then I'll be looking to trade this down back towards the point of control. Okay? Back to effectively where it all started. Where this last push started. Okay? So it's dead simple. Dead straightforward. To the upside, golden pocket. If it gets above that, then we're likely going to take the highs. To the downside, if this doesn't hold, then I'll be looking to bring that back down towards the point of control. Okay? Effectively, it's back into this cluster here, volume. But that's if we get acceptance back into value here. Right, finally, FTM. FTM, we've got small TA on here. Yeah, we can see that. There we go. So let's have a look at this. So obviously, it's another coin that I'm still swing short on. TA that we had before, from obviously creating the range, deviation to the outside deviation, came back in, back up, back down, EQ, back up into range high. And once again, I remember at the time, coming back up into this range high, every man and his dog on Twitter and YouTube saying that's it, it's pumping, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up, but not realizing that this is an established range high because we had it here. We've had reactions around it here. So it wasn't a place to long. Okay. If anything, it was a place to short. So you did manage to get short out of that, bring it back down. Then we came back up. We took the liquidity of these highs. We can see here, we took the liquidity and then it started to come back down. Okay. So what happens next? Well, let's get rid of this. We don't need this anymore. Let's get rid of this old tier and this old tier, and let's drag this along further so we can see where we're up to. Okay, let's get this volume profile. Let's bring this over. Let's see now where the volume lies. Okay, right, we can now start to paint a picture. So from here, we're kind of hovering in no man's land here. We've just taken the liquidity from these lows. Okay, so if this does start to turn around, low time frame, making higher highs and higher lows, then you've potentially got a low time frame trade there. And you'll be looking again into these highs, followed by these highs as a TP2, which then brings you into the EQ. If it does come up into the EQ, changes structure, then you've got another short trigger. Okay, if not, if it manages to get back above that, then you can be looking back up, take these highs into this value area high. Okay, and we can see this value area high comes into play because it's been resistance, support, resistance, support, support. So we know that it's a level that's in play. Okay, so it does manage to come back up there. Does it get a reaction there? Trade it back down. And then we're just trading value effectively. Keeping in mind of this EQ the whole time, because this is high time frame, remember. This isn't low time frame stuff. Okay, if it does continue to roll over, then I'll be looking back down towards that point of control. Because this here is just empty space. Okay, it's empty space. So if it does come back down, point of control, if that doesn't hold, then ultimately range lows once again / value area low. Okay, so that's to the upside, that's to the downside. Very, very straightforward. Coins like FTM are brilliant to trade. Brilliant to trade because they really do respect KSR levels because there's enough liquidity on them. Okay, so that's that. If you've learned something today, then hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you want a coin covering next week, then let us know down in the comments. And until next time, gang, as you were, bye-bye.